I transmigrated into a male-oriented power fantasy novel, becoming the ultimate sucker of a supporting character. A tool, someone possessing wealth that could rival nations, yet willingly acting as a simp for his icy female CEO fiancée, only to end up crushed to death by the protagonist. My icy fiancée, Su Lungshuang, looked at me with a cold gaze. Shenyan, are you done making a scene? I lay back on the sofa, swirling the goblet in my hand. Oh wait, that wasn't wine. It was clear baijiu. Then, right in front of her face, I casually tossed the diamond ring, worth 10 million and symbolizing the alliance between our families, into the trash can. Miss Su, let's consider the engagement void. Clang. The crisp sound was exceptionally piercing in the deathly silent living room. That custom-made Heart of Eternity rolled twice inside the bin, picking up pieces of the tangerine peel I had just thrown away. A crack finally appeared on Su Lungshuang's perennially icy face. Her pupils constricted sharply. Her gaze moved slowly from the trash can to my face, filled with disbelief and scrutiny. Shenyan, do you realize what you're doing? Her voice suppressed her rage, like a volcano on the verge of eruption. I shifted into a more comfortable position, sinking deeper into the soft sofa, and took another sip of the Mao Tai in my glass. The spicy warmth slid down my throat, truly satisfying. It's been 3 days since I transmigrated, and I've finally accepted reality. Shenyan, a corporate drone who worked himself to death in a 996 grind in my past life, had transmigrated into the male power fantasy novel I was reading before bed. I became the book's character of the same name, the ultimate sucker. A tragic supporting male character who sits on a $1 trillion fortune, yet is madly in love with his ice queen fiancée, Su Lungshuang. He gives everything for her, only to be used as a stepping stone by the overpowered protagonist, crushed to death, and left with his family ruined. The scene playing out right now was from the original plot. After the simp Shenyan failed his 7th confession, he staged a fake engagement annulment farce to get Su Lungshuang's attention. The result, of course, was that he got coaxed back by a few cold words from Su Lungshuang, scurried to retrieve the ring from the trash, and simped even harder than before. But now, there was a different person inside this shell. I looked at Su Lungshuang's stunning face, slightly losing composure from shock. My heart remained unmoved. In fact, I almost wanted to laugh. Making a scene? I wasn't making a scene. I was notifying her. Of course I know. I set down the glass, leaned forward with my elbows on my knees, and met her gaze calmly. Miss Su Lungshuang, I said that the engagement between us is officially void from this moment on. You are free. I deliberately emphasized the word free. In the original book, the thing Su Lungshuang said most often to the simp Shenyan was, Shenyan, can you get away from me? I need to breathe. I want freedom. Now I was giving that freedom back to her. Su Lungshuang's chest heaved violently. She was evidently furious at my complete about-face. She probably thought I was still using some clumsy, playing hard to get tactic. Shenyan, put away your ridiculous tricks. I'll give you 1 minute to pick that ring back up and apologize to me. Then, I might pretend none of this happened. She resumed her high and mighty CEO posture, her tone filled with condescension. I laughed. Not a sneer, but a genuine laugh. I found it funny. I stood up. My height of 188 meters forced her to tilt her head slightly to look at me. I walked up to her, looking down from my height. Apologize? I tilted my head. Miss Su, are you mistaken about something? The person who should apologize is you. However, I don't need it anymore. Also that ring. It's dirty. My gaze swept over the trash can and returned to her face, meaningful and profound. Su Lungshuang's face instantly drained of blood. She understood my underlying meaning. That ring was like my past feelings for her, tossed into the trash by my own hands, stained with garbage. It was dirty, and I didn't want it anymore. You. She shook with anger, the finger pointing at me, trembling. Growing up as the favored daughter of the Su family and a queen of the business world, when had she ever suffered such humiliation? Very good, Shenyan. Very good. She said it twice, the chill in her eyes enough to freeze a person stiff. I hope you won't regret this. With that, she turned and walked away on her high heels without looking back. Bang! The loud slam of the door announced her boundless fury. Finally, I was the only one left in the living room. I let out a long sigh of relief, feeling as if the air in the whole world had become fresh. Regret? My only regret is that I didn't transmigrate sooner. From today on, simping the plot, it can all get lost. I just want to lie flat and enjoy this damn wealthy life. When hopes are 1-0, drink your fill in high delight, and never leave your wine cup empty to the moon. The ancients explained the true meaning of life long ago. It's a pity some people just don't get it. I picked up my phone and dialed the number I knew by heart. The call was answered almost instantly. Mr. Shun, what are your instructions? A calm, capable male voice came through. It was my chief confidant, Wang Kun. Old Wang. It began lazily. Handle 3 things for me. First, draft a public statement calling off the engagement. Spread it far and wide. I want all of Shanjing to know that I, Shun Yin, am the one dumping Su Lingshuang. Second, take inventory of all projects between our group and the Su family. Halt everything that can be halted, and divest from everything that can be divested. From today on, I don't want to see anything related to the Su family in my business empire. Third, get my Guanlon villa in the south of the city ready. I'm moving there tonight. Also, find me a chef. They need to be proficient in the full 8 great cuisines, especially Sichuan and Shandong cuisine. Wang Kun was silent on the other end for a full 3 seconds. I could practically imagine his expression, shocked into speechlessness. After all, in the past, my orders regarding Su Lingshuang were always along the lines of secure cooperation with the Su family at any cost, or by Miss Su whatever she likes. Mr. Shun, are you sure? Wang Kun's voice carried a trace of uncertainty. Absolutely certain. I yawned. Just do it. I'm tired. I want to lie down. After hanging up, I collapsed back onto the sofa, feeling that life had never been so wonderful. A life without emotional manipulation, without the rat race, just endless money and limitless enjoyment, was beckoning to me. As for that so-called Dragon Outyin protagonist, let him go fight with Su Lingshuang. Just keep him away from me. My goal was simple: lie flat, enjoy myself, and live until the finale. I slept soundly through the night. The next day, I was woken by the chirping of birds outside the window, lying in a 3-meter-wide bed in the Guanlon villa. Sunlight spilled in through the massive floor-to-ceiling windows, feeling warm and cozy. There was no frantic alarm clock, no endless stream of work messages to reply to. I stretched, feeling every pore on my body screaming freedom. On the nightstand, a brand new set of casual clothes had already been prepared. After washing up, I walked into the living room shirtless, wearing only a pair of loose sweatpants. My 8-pack abs and chiseled V-line were distinct in the morning light. The foundation of this body was truly excellent. Years of fitness had resulted in very low body fat. In my previous life, I had run myself ragged trying to make ends meet to the point where I was developing a beer belly. Now I just wanted to properly cherish this perfect physique. In the living room, a man in a chef's uniform, appearing to be in his 50s, was waiting respectfully. Good morning, Mr. Shun. My name is Li Yuan, the chef director Wang hired for you. Hello, Chef Li. I nodded and gave a direct order. Just make something simple for breakfast, something light. Oh, right. Do you know how to brew alcohol? Chef Li paused for a moment, then smiled. I know how to make some home-style rice wine and yellow wine. Excellent. I was quite satisfied. From now on, you'll be responsible for the alcohol in the house. I don't like wine made from grapes. Only drink our own traditional stuff. Understood, Mr. Shun. Breakfast was simple. A bowl of century egg and lean pork congee, accompanied by several plates of exquisite side dishes. The flavor was spot on. I ate while scrolling through my phone. Old Wang was truly worthy of being my right-hand man. His efficiency was ridiculously high. Hashtag Shun Group Crown Prince Shun Yin unilaterally announced his termination of engagement with Su Group President Su Lingshuang. Hashtag this trending topic had already exploded. Attached below, it was the official red letterhead document from the Shun Group. The wording was tough, concise, and comprehensive. Translated, it simply meant, I, Shun Yin, don't want you anymore. The comments section had already blown up. Holy crap, what's the situation? Has the eternal simp finally grown a spine? It's fake, right? Shun Yin loves Su Lingshuang like a dog loves a bone. How could he voluntarily cancel the engagement? To the guy above, look at the official red header file. How could that be fake? And didn't you notice? The statement says, terminate the engagement, not mutually agree to terminate. That implies a unilateral notification. I bet a pack of spicy sticks that this is just a new, hard-to-get tactic from Shun Yan. Just wait. He'll be crying and begging for reconciliation soon. LMAO is the drama of Shangjing City's most devoted lover, Simp, finally reaching its finale? As I read these comments, the grin on my face grew wider. This was exactly the effect I wanted. I wanted everyone to know that the era of the simp was over. Soon, another related topic shot up the rankings. Hashtag Shun Group terminates all cooperation with Su Group hashtag if the engagement cancellation statement merely shocked the onlookers. This piece of news dropped a heavy bombshell on the entire business community of Shangjing City. Everyone in the city knew that the Shun and Su families were the two giants of Shangjing. Although the Shun family scale far exceeded that of the Su family, the two had been deeply intertwined for years, with collaborative projects spanning real estate, finance, technology, and many other fields. Especially in several key projects, the Su family took the lead while the Shun family poured in the money. Now, with the Shun family suddenly pulling the rug out from under them, the Su family was bound to suffer a devastating blow. He's gone mad. Shun Yin has absolutely lost his mind. For a woman, no. Despite a woman, he's gambling with projects worth tens and hundreds of billions? What a prodigal son. I heard Su Corporation's stock plummeted as soon as the market opened today. Several financing deals in the works have already fallen through. This is going to be interesting. I wonder how Queen Su will retaliate. I turn off my phone, feeling quite pleased. Retaliate? With what? In the face of absolute capital strength, any business tactics seem feeble and powerless. In the original story, the simp Shun Yin practically emptied his family's coffers to support Su Longshuang, just to win her favor, giving her the capital to compete with the male protagonist, Long Outyin. But now, with me, the biggest investor, withdrawing, Su Longshuang is nothing but a hollow shell, strong on the outside but weak within. I finished the last spoonful of porridge and decided to go out for a stroll. The Guanlan Villa district had an excellent environment, with lush trees, birds singing, and flowers blooming. Dressed in sportswear, I jogged slowly through the neighborhood, enjoying the long-lost leisure. Life should be like this. As I ran, an enticing sweet fragrance drifted into my nostrils. It was a blend of cream, caramel, and fruit, sweet but not cloying, enough to make one's mouth water. Following the scent, I found a dessert shop tucked away in a corner of the neighborhood, decorated like a fairy tale cottage. Yuning Dessert House. The name was quite elegant. I pushed the door open, and a wind chime tinkled softly. The shop was quiet, with only a girl in a white dress inside. Her back turned to me as she focused intently on piping cream. Her figure was slender, her long black hair tied back with a simple ribbon, revealing a fair and graceful neck. Sunlight streamed in through the window beside her, casting a soft golden glow around her. This, perhaps, was what tranquility felt like. Hearing the chime, she turned around. With just one glance, I was stunned. The girl's face was like a piece of jade washed in the cleanest spring water, free of makeup, yet radiant and captivating. Her eyes resembled clear lakes filled with stars. When she saw me, she paused for a moment, then curved in a lovely crescent. Welcome. Her voice was as sweet and gentle as her appearance. My heart skipped a beat, unexpectedly. It wasn't the self-conscious inferiority I felt as a corporate drone in my past life when seeing a goddess, but a pure appreciation for something beautiful. She was the female lead number one from the original story, Su Yuning, a white moonlight who appeared in the middle and later parts of the plot, healing the heartbroken simp Shun Yin after he was hurt by a Su Longshuang and the male protagonist Long Outyin, only to meet a tragic end due to Shun Yan's foolish actions. I never expected to meet her so early. Hello. I'm just looking around. I withdrew my gaze, suppressing the turmoil in my heart, and offered what I hoped was a friendly smile. Su Yuning was clearly startled by my muscular build and towering height of 188 meters, but her good upbringing kept her polite smile intact. Of course, sir. Take your time. We have newly released sea salt Oreo boxes and tiramisu today, both freshly made. She pointed to the glass display counter. My eyes swept over the desserts, as exquisite as works of art, before settling on a plate of unassuming Chinese pastries in the corner. Is this osmanthus cake? Su Yuning's eyes lit up with pleasant surprise. You recognize it, sir? This is Su-style osmanthus cake I made myself. Not many people buy it, so I don't make much. Of course, I recognized it. In my past life, my grandmother was from Suzhou and made the most delicious osmanthus cake, the sweetest memory of my childhood. I'll take a portion, I said. Certainly. She deftly packed it and handed it to me, her fingertips accidentally brushing against the back of my hand. Her hand was cool and soft, as if boneless. Yet my body reacted as if an electric current had surged through it, a long-forgotten heat rising from my abdomen. Damn it, I forgot about this body's setting, arousal in the presence of beautiful women. Keeping a straight face, I took the paper bag. To mask my physical reaction, I pointed to the sea salt Oreo box in the display. That one, I'll take it too. Of course. Su Yuning's cheeks flushed slightly, whether from noticing something or simply out of shyness, I couldn't tell. After paying, I practically fled the dessert shop. Standing outside, I took a deep breath of the fresh air to suppress the restless heat. It seems I'll have to steer clear of beautiful women from now on. However, I looked down at the osmanthus cake in my hand. Its scent was sweet and refreshing. This Su Yuning was actually even more wonderful than the book had described. Meanwhile, in the CEO's office at the Su Group, Su Lingshuang stared at the plummeting stock curves on her computer screen, her expression as cold as ice. Her fingers gripped the mouse so tightly they had turned white. On the desk, her phone screen was still lit, displaying the Shun Group's stinging public announcement calling off the engagement. President Su, we just received a notification. The Shun Group has unilaterally announced they are pulling their funding from the West City real estate project. The initial capital we invested is likely. The secretary stood to the side, reporting with trembling fear. Before she could finish, she was silenced by a cold glare from Su Lingshuang. I know. She forced the words through her gritted teeth. The secretary, looking as if she had just been granted a pardon, hurriedly retreated from the room. Su Lingshuang was left alone in the office. She stared fixedly at the name, Shanyan, on the screen, her eyes filled with anger, confusion, and a trace of something she hadn't even realized herself. Panic. She didn't understand. How could that man, who had trailed behind her for 10 years, calling her Lung Shuang, always looking at her with eyes full of adoration and ingratiation, suddenly turn out like this? Call off the engagement? Pull the funding? How dare he? How could he? Did he not know that without him, without the support of the Shun family, everything she had painstakingly built over these years would be in grave jeopardy? This had to be his new ploy. Yes, it had to be. He wanted to use this to force her to bow her head, to force her to beg him. Su Lingshuang took a deep breath, forcing herself to calm down. She picked up her phone and dialed Xinyan's private number. She had it all planned out. The moment the call connected, she would tell him, in her coldest, most haughty tone, that his little game was over and demand he stop this foolish behavior immediately. However, sorry, the number you dialed is currently busy. Please try again later. The cold, mechanical female voice felt like a slap, striking her viciously across the face. Refusing to believe it, she dialed again. The result was the same. He had actually blocked her. Su Lingshuang swayed, nearly falling out of her executive chair. A panic like she had never felt before engulfed her like a rising tide. Things, it seemed, had truly spiraled out of her control. Chapter 4. Of course I wasn't on a call. I had simply dragged every one of Su Lingshuang's contact methods onto the blacklist. An ex-fiancée, and one who had caused my fatal downfall in the past. Why on earth would I keep her around? At that moment, I was sitting in the courtyard of the Guanlan villa, savoring the osmanthus cake Su Yuning had made while enjoying the afternoon sun. The cake was sweet but not cloying, soft but not sticky, and carried a faint scent of osmanthus. The taste was actually 7 or 8 parts similar to what my grandmother used to make. This gave me another inexplicable touch of fondness for that girl, Su Yuning. Just as I was feeling content, old Wang called. President Shun, it's all taken care of. His voice was steady as always, though it seemed to carry a trace of imperceptible excitement. "Amen," I responded lazily. The reaction from the Su group is huge. President Su. "Oh no, Su Lingshuang herself has called you dozens of times, but they were all intercepted by the system. She also tried to use the Su family's connections to contact the old master, but I blocked that as well." "Good work," I praised. This Wang Kuan was a top-tier tool character with godlike abilities in the original book. It was a pity he followed the wrong master and met a miserable end. Now, he was my man. Also, President Shun, there is something I need to report. Wang Kuan's tone turned serious. Our insider planet at the Su Group reports that, in order to fill the funding gap left by our withdrawal, the Su Group is currently contacting an investment firm called Tianchun Capital. Tianchun Capital? I narrowed my eyes. I was all too familiar with that name. Wasn't that the company founded by the overpowered protagonist, Xiao Fan, after he returned to the country in that power fantasy novel? The plot had finally begun. "What's the background of this Tianchun Capital?" I asked, feigning ignorance. "It's very mysterious," Wang Kuan said. "It seems to have sprung up overnight. We can't trace its background, but its financial strength is abnormally robust. Its style of operation is extremely domineering." "Is that so?" I chuckled lightly. "Then let them collaborate. Keep a close eye on them for me. I'd like to see just what kind of tricks this Tianchun Capital can pull." "Understood." Wang Kuan paused, then asked, "President Shun, are we really just going to watch? If Tianchun Capital secures several of the Su Group's high-quality projects, it might affect our future strategic layout." "Affect us?" Leaning back in the recliner, watching the drifting clouds on the horizon, I said faintly, "Old Wang, you have to remember, from today on, our company's top priority isn't making money, nor is it planning for the future." "Then what is it?" Wang Kuan's voice was filled with confusion. "It is ensuring that I can comfortably lie flat." The other end of the phone fell into a long silence again. I could almost visualize the cracks forming on old Wang's elite face right now. "I understand, President Shun." After a long while, he struggled to spit out these few words. Hanging up the phone, my mood improved even more, dumping massive troubles onto others while I sat back and watched the Tigers fight. This feeling was simply too satisfying. The overpowered protagonist and the ice-cold female CEO, you two just stay locked together and absolutely do not come to disturb me. I picked up the unopened box of sea salt Oreos and took a bite. The cream was smooth, the Oreo crumbs salty and fragrant. The taste was excellent. But for some reason, I felt it wasn't as flavorful as that small piece of osmanthus cake. Perhaps it was time to visit that dessert shop again. The next day, I deliberately changed into low-key clothes, drove the cheapest G-Wagon in my garage, and arrived at Yuning Dessert House again. Pushing open the door, there was that familiar silhouette. Su Yuning was wearing a pale yellow floral dress today, which highlighted her fair skin and gentle temperament even more. Seeing me, she was obviously a bit surprised, then revealed a sweet smile. "Sir, you're here again. The osmanthus cake you make is delicious." I praised her straightforwardly. Su Yuning's cheeks flushed red instantly, like a ripe apple, making one want to take a bite. "Thank you. I'm glad you like it." She lowered her head shyly and whispered, "Today's osmanthus cake is made with freshly picked autumn osmanthus. It's more fragrant than yesterday's." "That works out perfectly. I'll take them all." I pointed to the only 2 trays of osmanthus cake in the counter. "Huh, all of them?" She looked up in surprise. "Yeah, is there a problem?" No. She waved her hands hurriedly, then carefully helped me pack them. While she was packing, another man entered the shop. The man was wearing a designer suit, his hair combed shiny and sleek. He wore a glittering gold Rolex on his wrist and had an arrogant look on his face. As soon as he came in, he looked Su Yuning up and down with a gaze like he was inspecting goods, the greed in his eyes completely unconcealed. "Miss Su, we meet again." The man spoke, his voice oily. Su Yuning's body clearly stiffened, and the smile on her face vanished. "President Zhang, why are you here?" Her tone was distant. "I came to see you." President Zhang walked forward with a grin, trying to grab Su Yuning's hand. "Miss Su, how have you considered the suggestion I made last time? As long as you get with me, forget this shabby little shop. I'll open the biggest dessert chain in Shangjing City for you directly." Su Yuning stepped back in disgust, dodging his groping hand. President Zhang, please have some self-respect. I told you, I won't sell this shop, and I certainly won't go with you. Refusing a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Zhang's face darkened. Believe it or not, I can make sure this shop goes out of business by tomorrow. Just as his voice fell, a hand suddenly rested on his shoulder. I stood behind him, my face expressionless, but the force in my hand made his fat face twist instantly. Sir, I spoke slowly. Disturbing others' business is very impolite behavior. Zhang was in pain. He turned to look at me, stunned at first, then intimidated by my 188-meter height and muscular build. But soon, the gold Rolex on his wrist gave him courage. Who are you? Daring to meddle in my business? Do you know who I am? He clamored, trying to break free from my grip. I applied a little force with my hand. Click! A slight sound of bone dislocation rang out. Zhang let out a scream like a pig being slaughtered, collapsing instantly as cold sweat poured down his forehead. I don't care who you are. I released my hand, looking down at him from above. My voice wasn't loud, but it carried an undeniable sense of oppression. Now, vanish from here immediately. Don't let me see you appear near this shop ever again. You just wait. Gritting his teeth in pain, Zhang crawled up from the ground, left a threatening remark, and scrambled away. The shop returned to silence. Su Yuning looked at me. Her clear eyes were filled with shock and gratitude, and a trace of worry. Sir, thank you, but you shouldn't have offended him for my sake. That man surnamed Zhang is a local tyrant. He has a lot of influence in this area. He will definitely retaliate against you. She bit her lip, her face filled with guilt. Seeing her kind and considerate demeanor, my heart softened inexplicably. Is this the female lead, Aura? Don't worry. They're just a few flies. They can't stir up any trouble, I said nonchalantly. I picked up the packaged osmanthus cake, thought for a moment, then pulled a black card from my wallet and placed it on the counter. This is my card. If you run into trouble again, call this number. Su Yuning stared blankly at the card. It was pitch black, with only the character Shun embossed in gold in the corner. She seemed to have seen this card on the cover of some financial magazine. That was the highest-level exclusive custom card of the Shun Group in Shanjing City. She snapped her head up, looking at me in disbelief. You are. I'm Shun Yin. I gave her a wink and turned to leave. Behind me, Su Yuning stood frozen in place. She clutched the thin card in her hand, yet it felt as heavy as 1,000 pounds. Shen Yan, the Shun family crown prince, who had just broken off his engagement and stirred up a storm across all of Shanjing. Why would he appear in her small shop and even help her? Su Yuning's heart was in turmoil. As for me, driving my car, I felt exceptionally good. Playing out the cliché hero saves the damsel trope once in a while actually felt pretty good. Especially seeing Su Yuning's cute, frightened deer expression. It was much more pleasant than looking at Su Lingshuang's ice block face. Back at the villa, I had just put down the osmanthus cake when old Wang called again. This time, his voice carried a hint of gravity. President Shun, something has happened. Xiao Fan from Tianjin Capital just announced publicly at the Su Group's press conference that he will inject 50 billion into the Su family business and has secured the leading rights to the West City project. Oh, I raised an eyebrow. Isn't that a good thing? Su Lingshuang's urgent crisis is solved, and we don't have to be involved with the Su family anymore. Everyone wins. That's not it, President Shun. Wang Kuin's voice was very low. At the press conference, that Xiao Fan mentioned you by name and humiliated you. He called you a fool blinded by a woman and a short-sighted prodigal son. He also said that under your leadership, the Shun Group is finished sooner or later. The smile on my lips froze. Very good. The stereotypical, overpowered protagonist finally turned his spear against me. I just wanted to lie flat and watch the show, but someone always wants to drag me to the center of the stage. What else did he say? My voice went cold. He also said he would use his actions to prove how wise Su Lingshuang was to choose him and abandon you. I laughed out of anger. He was basically forcing a green hat on my head in front of the whole world. Even though I'd already taken that hat off myself, having someone else force it back on me was still very unpleasant. President Shun, do we need to strike back? The PR department has already drafted several plans. Wang Kuan asked for instructions. Strike back? Why strike back? I said leisurely. Didn't he say I was short-sighted and that the Shun group was going to fail? Then let him talk. Old Wang, pass this down. From today on, I will no longer handle any group affairs. You and the board will be fully responsible for everything. Wang Kuan was completely stunned. President Shun, this. How can we do that? Wouldn't that be playing right into Xiao Fan's hands and confirming your reputation as a prodigal son? Reputation? Can you eat that? I scoffed. I'm going to enjoy life. Oh, by the way, find out where the biggest pet shop in the south of the city is for me. I want to buy a cat. With that, I hung up the phone, leaving Wang Kuan confused and disoriented. He could rack his brain, but still wouldn't figure out what game his boss was playing. Humiliated publicly by a romantic rival, and instead of getting angry, he just quits his job? Was he just too carefree, or had he really given up on himself? Wang Kuan didn't know that at this very moment. I was hatching a much more interesting plan. Xiao Fan, didn't you want to use me as a stepping stone? Didn't you want to be a hero and save Su Lungshuang, the damsel in distress? Fine, I'll grant your wish. I like to see if you can still play the hero when the Su family princess turns into a bottomless pit that can never be filled. As for me, I'll be holding my cat, eating pastries, and comfortably watching the show. Chapter 6, Loving Home, the largest pet lifestyle center in Shangjing City. The moment I walked in, I was drawn to a ragdoll cat dozing on a scratching post near the entrance. The cat was snow white all over, with only its face, ears, and tail sporting a beautiful gray-blue hue. Its large, sapphire-like eyes were lazily narrowed, looking so adorable it could melt anyone's heart. I'll take that one. I pointed at the ragdoll. The shop assistant's eyes lit up when she saw me, but her expression turned troubled as soon as she followed the direction of my finger. Sir, I'm terribly sorry. That ragdoll. His name is Tang Yuan. He belongs to our boss and isn't for sale. Your boss. I was slightly surprised. Just then, a gentle voice came from behind me. Tang Yuan, you're being naughty again, running all the way to the door. I turned around and froze. Su Yuning? She was wearing a pink staff uniform, cradling a tiny golden retriever puppy in her arms. Upon seeing me, she froze as well, 2 clouds of red instantly rising on her cheeks. Shun, Mr. Shun, what are you doing here? I came to buy a cat. My gaze shifted between her and the rag doll. So, you the owner of this shop? Su Yuning nodded shyly. My family opened this shop. I come over to help whenever I don't have classes. It dawned on me. So that was it. The original book only mentioned that Su Yuning came from a wealthy family, but I hadn't expected it to be to this extent. Being able to afford opening the largest pet lifestyle center in Shangjing meant her family background was leagues above Su Lungshuang's so-called wealthy family, which still relied on political marriages to consolidate its status. So, is this ragdoll really not for sale? I looked at the cat named Tang Yuan, liking it more the longer I looked. Well, Su Yuning looked torn. Just then, the little golden retriever in her arms began to struggle, yipping as it lunged toward me. I instinctively reached out and caught the furry little guy. The puppy nuzzled affectionately against my chest, even sticking out its tongue to lick my chin, acting as if we were already best friends. Oh, Yuan Bao, Su Yuning exclaimed, looking at me nervously. I'm so sorry, Mr. Shun. He's not usually like this. I don't know what's got into him today. I looked down at the enthusiastic little creature in my arms, then looked up at the aloof Tang Yuan on the cat tree. Tang Yuan, Yuan Bao. Interesting names. It's fine, I like him too. I rubbed the puppy's head, and it made a comfortable whimpering sound. Since Tang Yuan isn't for sale, how about Yuan Bao? Do you sell him? I asked. Su Yuning's face turned even redder as she whispered, Yuan Bao is mine too. Me. So, the 2 cutest animals in the shop are both your private property? Seeing my slightly disappointed expression, Su Yuning's eyes darted away, as if she were making a difficult decision. After a moment, she seemed to muster up her courage and looked up at me. Mr. Shun, if you really like Yuan Bao, I can give him to you. Give him to me? I raised an eyebrow. She nodded vigorously, her eyes filled with sincerity. You helped me last time. I haven't had the chance to thank you properly. Yuan Bao is very well behaved, and he really likes you. I'm sure he'll be very happy with you. I looked at her, then at the golden retriever, still vigorously acting cute in my arms. Was this a beauty gifting a cute pet? I smiled. Then I accept, I said. However, I can't take him for nothing. Let's consider it a prepayment for osmanthus cakes. For the next year, I'll buy out your shop stock of osmanthus cakes. Su Yuning was stunned for a moment, then couldn't help but laugh. When she smiled, her eyes curved like the brightest stars in the night sky. Okay, she replied softly. Just then, the television in the pet shop suddenly began broadcasting a financial news update. It is reported that Mr. Xiao Fan, founder of Tianjin Capital, and Miss Su Lengshuang, president of the Su Group, will hold a private banquet at the Regent Hotel tonight to celebrate their strategic partnership. According to insiders, the two rising stars of the business world share a close personal relationship, and a union may be on the horizon. On the screen, Xiao Fan and Su Lengshuang stood side by side, looking triumphant. Xiao Fan looked spirited and confident, and while Su Lengshuang remained expressionless as usual, her eyes held a trace of something previously unseen. Reliance? Several young shop assistants immediately began chattering excitedly. Wow, President Su and this President Xiao are such a good match. I know, right? Their chemistry is way better than when she was with that Shen Yin. I heard that after the engagement was broken off, Shen Yin just let himself go. He does nothing but eat, drink, and party every day, completely ignoring his company. He's truly a hopeless case. She'll keep it down. Although their whispers were quiet, every word reached Su Yuning's ears and mine. Su Yuning's face turned pale in an instant. She glanced at me nervously, her lips moving as if she wanted to say something, but she didn't seem to know how to begin. I, however, acted as if nothing was amiss, fully focused on teasing Yuan Bao in my arms. Yuan Bao, you're rolling with me from now on. Happy. Woof. The little golden retriever barked excitedly, rubbing its head vigorously against my chest. My pecs are rock hard. Chapter 7, Regent Hotel, top floor banquet hall. Tonight, Xiao Fan had booked the entire venue to hold a private celebration banquet for himself and Su Lengshuang. Though called private, almost every prominent figure in Shanjing City had received an invitation. Everyone knew that this wasn't just a celebration. It was a stage for Xiao Fan to declare his sovereignty to the entire city, and especially to me, Shen Yan. Inside the banquet hall, the atmosphere was luxurious, filled with the fragrance of perfume and the clinking of glasses. Xiao Fan, wearing a custom-made suit, stood tall and straight with a confident smile, chatting effortlessly with several business tycoons. The domineering, kingly aura specific to a Dragon King protagonist was on full display. Su Lengshuang stood beside him like a proud white swan, holding his arm. She had swapped her usual business suit for an ice blue evening gown. Her stunning beauty and cold temperament made her the focal point of the entire room. Whenever anyone congratulated them, calling them a golden boy and jade girl, or a match made in heaven, she didn't speak, but the faint, barely there curve of her lips said it all. She enjoyed this feeling. She enjoyed the feeling of being conquered by a man more powerful and domineering than Shen Yan. President Xiao is truly young and promising, securing such a huge project with the Su Group right after returning to the country. His future is limitless. Yes, indeed. President Su has great taste finding a true dragon like President Xiao. Unlike a certain someone who is just mud that can't be plastered on a wall. You mean that prodigal son of the Shun family? Ha! I heard he spends all day at home playing with cats and dogs, abandoning the company completely. It's hilarious. All sorts of overt and covert flattery and belittlement rose and fell throughout the banquet hall. Listening to these words, Xiao Fan's smile deepened. This was exactly the effect he wanted. He wanted everyone to know that he, Xiao Fan, was the only man worthy of Su Lengshuang. As for Shen Yan, he was nothing but a jumping clown easily trampled beneath his feet. Just as the banquet's atmosphere reached its climax, the main doors were suddenly pushed open from the outside. Everyone's gaze was drawn over. There I was, Shen Yan, wearing extremely casual leisure wear, holding an adorable little golden retriever in my arms, strolling in leisurely. Behind me followed a girl in a pale yellow floral dress, her temperament as gentle as water. It was none other than Su Yuning. The entire room fell instantly dead silent. Everyone looked like the pause button had been hit, staring at me dumbfounded. No one expected that I, the prodigal son and ex-simp, would dare to show up here. And in such a strolling in the park manner, Xiao Fan and Su Lingshuang's faces darkened instantly. Especially Su Lingshuang. When she saw the radiantly smiling Su Yuning beside me, a flash of jealousy and indignation, which even she hadn't realized, flickered in her cold eyes. She knew of Su Yuning's family background. A princess truly raised with pampering, innocent, beautiful, and untainted by the world. She was the type that someone like Su Lingshuang, who grew up amidst schemes and calculations, envied most, yet also despised most. She didn't understand. How could a fool like Shen Yin end up with Su Yuning? Shen Yin, who told you to come? Xiao Fan reacted first. He stepped forward, blocking Su Lingshuang, and questioned me with a condescending attitude. I ignored him. My gaze bypassed him and landed on Su Lingshuang. Then I smiled. In front of everyone, I lowered my head and planted a soft kiss on Su Yuning's smooth forehead. Yuning, see? I told you this place would be boring, didn't I? Su Yuning's face turned beet red instantly. She lowered her head shyly, but her small hand tightly gripped the hem of my shirt. MHM. She hummed a response as quiet as a mosquito. This scene exploded in the crowd like a heavy bomb. Everyone went crazy. Oh my God, what did I just see? Shen Yin kissed that girl. Who is that girl? She's so pretty. Such great temperament. Even more pleasant than President Su. Didn't Shen Yin give up on himself? How'd he find such a top-tier girlfriend? Talk about double standards. He used to grovel at President Su's feet, but now he's pampering this new flame like she's a precious treasure. Su Lingshuang's body began to tremble uncontrollably. She stared dead at me, staring at that gentle, doting smile on my face that she had never seen before. That smile was like a needle, plunging deep in her heart. On what basis? By what right could the man who once only chased after a shadow smile so gently at another woman? Xiao Fan's face was already as black as the bottom of a pot. My actions had completely treated him like thin air. Shen Yin, he roared, his voice filled with the humiliation of being ignored. I'm talking to you. Are you deaf? Only then did I lazily lift my eyelids to glance at him, as if looking at a buzzing fly. Oh, it's you. I picked up my ear. What did you just say? The wind's too loud. I couldn't hear you. You. Xiao Fan was so angry he nearly had a heart attack. I didn't give him another chance to speak. I walked straight to the banquet hall's buffet, picked up a plate, and started serving the desserts Su Yuning liked. This tiramisu looks good. Want to try it? And this strawberry mousse, your favorite. Yuan Bao, no stealing. This is for mommy. As I served the food, I teased the little golden retriever in my arms, acting as if no one else was around, as if this weren't a social battlefield, but our own backyard. Su Yuning stood obediently by my side, watching me busy myself over her, the light in her eyes growing brighter and brighter. The surrounding guests were completely dumbfounded. They looked at one another, their eyes filled with shock, astonishment, and a trace of envy. They had never seen a Shen Yin like this. Confident, composed, even bearing a hint of devil-may-care roguishness. The look he gave the girl, named Yuning, was so gentle it seemed it could drip water. That heartfelt doting was the complete polar opposite of the abject fawning he used to show Su Lingshuang. So, is this the real Shen Yin? Someone whispered. He seems even more charming than President Xiao. A socialite squealed softly, covering her mouth. These whispers were like sharp knives, stabbing into the hearts of Xiao Fan and Su Lingshuang. Tonight was supposed to be their night. Now, it had been turned upside down by me, an uninvited guest. I had become the center of attention, and they had been reduced to the background. Enough! Su Lingshuang finally snapped. She pushed Xiao Fan aside and walked toward me, step by step, her high heels clicking. She stood before me, her icy eyes fixing a death stare on me, as if interrogating a heartless lover. Shen Yin, what exactly are you trying to do? I methodically placed the last macaron onto the plate and handed it to Su Yuning before finally turning to face her. Miss Su, do I need to report my intentions to you? I asked indifferently. You? Su Lingshuang was choked into silence. She took a deep breath and turned her gaze to Su Yuning beside me, her eyes holding a trace of scrutiny and disdain. Miss Su, is it? I advise you to stay away from him. A moody, childish, and impulsive man like him can't give you a future. Her tone was filled with condescending superiority. Before Su Yuning could speak, I laughed. A future. It was as if I'd heard the world's biggest joke. Miss Su, have you forgotten who it was that cried and screamed back then, claiming there was no future with me and telling me to get lost? And now you run over here as the ex to lecture my current girlfriend? What's that phrase you cultured people use for this kind of behavior? I paused, then enunciated every word. Oh, right. It's called double standards, strict with others, lenient with yourself. Someone in the crowd couldn't hold it back and burst out laughing. Su Lingshuang's face instantly turned a deep, liverish red. The composure and rationality she prided herself on crumbled to dust under my few simple words. Shenyan, you bastard, she growled, losing control. Thanks for the compliment. I shrugged nonchalantly. Just then, a booming voice suddenly rang out. Well said. Shen boy, I like that attitude of yours. Everyone turned to look and saw an elderly man in a Chinese tunic suit, looking hale and hearty, striding over surrounded by an entourage. Upon seeing him, the entire hall went into an uproar. It's the president of the Huaxia Business Alliance, Zhou Dinghua. Elder Zhou, my God, why is he here? Elder Zhou is a titan of the industry. He rarely attends occasions like this. Xiao Fan's expression changed as well. He hurriedly stepped forward to welcome him, greeting him respectfully. Elder Zhou, what brings you here? Zhou Dinghua, however, didn't even spare him a glance. He walked straight up to me, looked me up and down, his eyes filled with approval. You kid, you've got more guts than your father did back then. He clapped me on the shoulder with considerable force. Good job breaking off the engagement. A woman who only cares about profit and doesn't know how to cherish feelings. You're better off without her. Elder Zhou's voice, booming with vitality, resonated throughout the entire banquet hall. Su Lingshuang's face instantly turned as pale as a sheet. To be evaluated like this by Zhou Dinghua in front of the entirety of Shangjing's high society. How would she ever establish herself in the business world after this? Xiao Fan's expression was even more hideous to behold. Zhou Dinghua's words didn't just rebuke Su Lingshuang. They also heaped scorn upon him, the sucker who had picked up another man's cast-off. Elder Zhou, you might have some misunderstanding regarding Lingshuang. He attempted to explain. Misunderstanding. Zhou Dinghua scoffed coldly, his sharp gaze sweeping over him. So you're that kid from Tianjin capital? Acting domineering and arrogant. Do you really think that just because you have some background abroad, you can do whatever you want on Huaxia soil? Young man, the road ahead is still long. These words left Xiao Fan speechless, his face alternating between ghastly pale and angry red. The surrounding guests didn't dare breathe loudly, lowering their heads one after another. Everyone could see that Elder Zhou was blatantly taking a stand for me. I was also a bit surprised. I had no prior dealings with this Elder Zhou. Why would he help me? Was it for the sake of that cheap old man of mine? Regardless of the reason, this sudden endorsement from a third-party big shot maxed out the satisfaction level of the evening. Looking at Xiao Fan and Su Lingshuang opposite me, whose faces were more colorful than a painter's palette, I felt incredibly good. Elder Zhou, you praise me too much, I said modestly, then turned to Su Yuning. We got the dessert, so we should get going. The air in here isn't very good. MHM. Su Yuning nodded obediently. Holding Yuan Bao in my arms and leading Su Yuning by the hand, I turned and left amidst the complicated gazes of the crowd. As I passed by Xiao Fan, I stopped and whispered in a voice only the two of us could hear. What belongs to me, I can take back whenever I want. But what I don't want and have thrown away, don't even think about picking it back up. Having said that, I didn't spare another glance at his face, twisted with rage, and strode away. Behind me was a deathly silence, and the two venomous gazes of Xiao Fan and Su Lingshuang that felt like they wanted to bore a hole through me. Chapter 9. Coming out of the Regent Hotel, I let out a long breath. The face slapping tonight had been thoroughly satisfying. I turned my head to look at Su Yuning beside me. She seemed to not have fully recovered from the shock just now. a trace of worry on her small face. "What's wrong?" "Scared?" I asked softly. Su Yuning shook her head, then immediately nodded. Biting her lip, she whispered, "Shenyan, you were too impulsive tonight. That Xiao Fan and Miss Su definitely won't let this go." Her form of address had unknowingly changed from Mr. Shun to Shunyan. My heart warmed, and I gave her soft little hand to squeeze. "Don't worry. They can't stir up any trouble." I looked in her eyes and said seriously, "I promise." Seeing my certain gaze, the unease in Su Yuning's heart inexplicably dissipated by more than half. She chose to believe me. This kind of unconditional trust made me feel very comfortable. "All right, I haven't introduced you yet." I lifted the little golden retriever in my arms up to her face. "This is Yuan Bao. He's our son from now on." Su Yuning was amused by me, a lovely blush rising on her cheeks. "What son? That sounds terrible." She gave me a reproachful yet flirtatious look, reaching out to stroke Yuan Bao's head. "Yuan Bao, you have to listen to Daddy from now on, okay?" "Woof!" Yuan Bao barked excitedly. Under the night sky, the sound of our laughter traveled far. The next day, the entire upper-class circle of Shangjing exploded with gossip because of the banquet the night before. #Shunyan crashes ex's engagement party with new love #, business titan, Zhou Dingwabax, Shun Yin #, Ice Queen CEO, Su Lingshuang loses composure in public #, all sorts of explosive headlines spread across major media outlets and social platforms. And I, Shun Yin, the prodigal son, who had been mocked by everyone just a few days ago, saw my image completely reversed overnight. In everyone's eyes, I had become a mysterious, noble young master, fearless of power, bold in love and hate, and unfettered. Some had even begun to dig deep into my personal information. Soon, an even more ridiculous trending topic appeared. #Shunyan didn't get out of bed today, either #. The cause was the official social media account of the Shun Group. Every morning at 9 o'clock, without fail, they would post an update. "Our CEO, Shun, didn't get out of bed today either. The company is fine, don't worry." Attached, a screenshot of soaring stock prices. At first, everyone thought it was a joke, but it happened 3 days in a row. Moreover, accompanied by the CEO, Shun didn't get up notification, the Shin Group stock price shot up like it was riding a rocket. Now, everyone was dumbfounded. What kind of strategy is this? The boss lies flat, and the company hits the daily limit up? Is this metaphysics? I get it now. President Shun is what a true boss looks like. Controlling the big picture, delegating to subordinates, and enjoying life himself. What a mindset. Classy. Comment above, think bigger. This proves that the Shun Group's internal management and talent pool have reached a terrifyingly high level. The boss doesn't need to lift a finger. Sob. What kind of dream company is this? Are they still hiring? I want to work for the lying flat President Shun. So, to everyone's surprise, my act of lying flat somehow became yet another proof of my awesomeness. My chief confidant, Wang Kun, was even hailed as the strongest worker in history. Rumor has it that inside the Shun Group, the rat race is spiraling out of control. Several vice presidents are putting up fiercer and fiercer performance numbers just to fight for the position of #1 confidant. Old Wang is under mountain-high pressure, calling me every day to complain and begging me to come back to the company, even if just to show my face and hold the fort. Naturally, I ruthlessly refused. You gotta be kidding. Lying flat feels so good. Who wants to go to the office and smell the stench of intense competition? My daily routine now consists of taking Yuan Bao to Su Yuning's dessert shop in the morning, eating osmanthus cakes, and flirting with her. In the afternoon, I hit the gym to pump iron and maintain my perfect 8-pack abs. In the evening, I go home and have Chef Lee prepare a full Manchuan imperial feast, paired with his newly brewed rice wine for a little light drinking. A godlike existence is nothing more than this. On this particular day, I was lying on a rocking chair in the courtyard, sipping ice-cold sour plum soup while watching Yuan Bao and Su Yuning's ragdoll cat, Tang Yuan, wrestling on grass. Yes, Tang Yuan has become a frequent visitor to my home now. In Su Yuning's words, Tang Yuan missed Yuan Bao too much, so she had to drop the cat off every day. Watching the two furry little things roll around together, I suddenly felt that this wingman move was a bit too obvious. Just then, Su Yuning walked quickly to my side with her phone, a trace of anxiety on her face. Shen, this is bad. Look, I took the phone. On the screen was a news article. Hashtag famous dessert shop, Yuning Dessert House exposed for using inferior ingredients. Hygiene concerns hashtag. Below the news were several shocking photos. Moldy fruit, expired cream, and even the carcasses of a few cockroaches. The comment section was already flooded with curses. Unscrupulous merchant. I just ate there yesterday. I want to puke. And here I thought the shop looked like a fairy tale and the lady boss looked like a fairy. I didn't expect it to be so disgusting. Boycott. Make them shut down. I frowned. When did this happen? It just broke out moments ago. Su Yuning's eyes were red with anxiety. None of this is true. Our ingredients are the freshest every day, and the kitchen is cleaned spotlessly. How could? Don't panic. I pulled her into my arms and gently patted her back to soothe her. I'm here. I took out my phone and called Old Wang directly. Old Wang, look into something for me. Chapter 10. Old Wang's efficiency was high as always. In less than half an hour, he called back. President Shun, it's clear. It's that Xiao Fan playing dirty tricks. He bought off a few food bloggers and hired people to pose as customers to sneak into the kitchen of Yuning Dessert House and take those fake photos. The internet trolls right now are also hired by him. There was a hint of anger in Wang Kuen's voice. He not only wants to destroy Miss Su's shop, but also wants to use this to ruin your reputation. People online are already saying you have poor judgment and found a girlfriend with a black heart. I sneered. This Xiao Fan really stops at nothing. Can't deal with me, so he starts targeting the people around me. Truly the lowest of the low. I got it. I said indifferently. You don't need to handle this. I'll take care of it myself. President Shun? Wang Kuen was a bit worried. Relax, I know what I'm doing. Hanging up the phone, I looked at Su Yuning in my arms, her eyes still red, looking aggrieved and helpless. A strong desire to protect her surged in my heart. Don't be afraid. I cupped her face and gently wiped away the tears from the corners of her eyes with my thumb. Trust me, within 3 hours, all problems will be solved. But they have photos. Everyone believes them. Su Yuning choked out. Photos. I smiled. Who says photos are necessarily real? I took out my phone and dialed another number. Hello, it's me. Do me a small favor. 3:00 p.m. It was the peak of the online controversy. The food blogger with 1 million followers who broke the news first suddenly started a live stream. Inside the live stream, his face was bruised and swollen, and he was crying uncontrollably, snot and tears running down his face. Fans, netizens, I owe everyone an apology. I was wrong. The news about Yuning Dessert House was fabricated by me. Those photos were staged. I took money to slander Miss Su against my conscience. As he spoke, he pulled a transfer record and a contract from inside his jacket. This is the 500,000 transferred to me by Xiao Fan of Tianjin Capital. Here is the contract we signed. He was the one who put me up to this. I'm scum. I was blinded by greed. I beg for your forgiveness. The live stream chat exploded instantly. Every netizen watching was dumbfounded. This plot twist had come way too fast, hadn't it? Immediately following this, the other bloggers involved in the smear campaign also posted apology videos and relevant evidence on their social media accounts. The chain of evidence was complete, pointing directly at one target, Tianjin Capital, Xiao Fan. Instantly, the internet was in an uproar. Public opinion flipped in a heartbeat. The vitriol directed at Xiao Fan now was just as intense as the abuse hurled at Su Yuning before. Holy shit, what a shocking twist. So was Xiao Fan pulling the strings all along. That's disgusting. A business war is one thing, but using such dirty tactics against a young girl. Is he even a man? I used to think he was a business prodigy. Turns out he's just a piece of trash. I feel so bad for Miss Su, getting dragged through the mud for nothing. Is Tianjin Capital's stock going to hit the limit down? Ha ha ha, serves them right. I turned off the live stream, looked at the dumbstruck Su Yuning, and tapped her nose lightly. See? It's all resolved, isn't it? Su Yuning stared blankly at me. It took her a long while to react. Suddenly, she threw herself into my arms, hugging me tightly. She buried her face in my chest, her shoulders shaking as she sobbed. But this time, they were tears of joy. How did you do it? She looked up, her large, watery eyes filled with adoration and curiosity. It's a secret. I gave her a mysterious smile. It was actually quite simple. I just had my legal team pay those bloggers a friendly visit, bringing along an indictment for defamation and evidence sufficient to put them behind bars for a long time. Faced with a choice between money and freedom, they were smart enough to make the right decision. All right, stop crying. If you keep crying, you'll look like a little calico cat. I wiped away her tears and spoke softly. Come on, I'm taking you somewhere. I drove Su Yuning to a manor on the outskirts of Shangjing City. The manor was antique in style, featuring pavilions, pagodas, and small bridges over flowing water, resembling a traditional Jiangnan garden. This is... Su Yuning looked at the beautiful scenery in astonishment. My home. I took her hand and led her inside. And from now on, it's your home, too. Su Yuning's face turned as red as the evening clouds. Inside the manor, a kind-faced middle-aged woman came out to greet us. Seeing Su Yuning, she grinned from ear to ear. Oh my, this must be Miss Su, right? So pretty. Even better looking than in the photos. Zhang Ma, I introduced with a smile. This is our housekeeper. Hello, Miss Su. Zhang Ma warmly took Su Yuning's hand. Just then, an elegant middle-aged couple walked out of the main house. Seeing them, Su Yuning froze. Dad, Mom, why are you here? Correct, these were Su Yuning's parents. Seeing our joined hands, Father Su and Mother Su exchanged a glance and shared a knowing smile. Silly child. Mother Su walked over and poked her forehead affectionately. Xiao Yin invited us here. He said he wanted to formally ask us for your hand in marriage. Ask? For my hand? Su Yuning's brain completely short-circuited. Seeing her silly, adorable reaction, I couldn't help but laugh. I took a step forward, naturally wrapped my arm around her waist, and addressed her parents. Uncle, Annie, I am Shun Yin. I want to marry Yuning, and I hope you will entrust her to me. My attitude was sincere and solemn. Father Su, a university professor wearing gold-rimmed glasses and looking gentle and refined, looked me up and down. His gaze was even sharper than Elder Zhou's. Shun Yan, he spoke slowly. We've heard about your situation. Are you sure you can give our Yuning happiness? I am sure, I answered without hesitation. I will use everything I have to love her and protect her so that she can remain as she is now, carefree and happy, for the rest of her life. My words had no flowery embellishments, but every word came from the bottom of my heart. Father Su was silent for a moment, then nodded. Good. I trust my daughter's judgment. Mother Su held Su Yuning's hand, her eyes slightly moist. Our Yuning has been spoiled by us since she was little. She has a simple nature. We'll have to trouble you to look after her from now on. Rest assured, Auntie, I will only spoil her even more than you do. I made my promise. The betrothal meeting concluded successfully in a warm and harmonious atmosphere. Su Yuning spent the entire time in a daze, as if in a dream. It wasn't until she was sitting in my car, heading back to the city, that reality finally sank in. Shenyan, what made you think of inviting my parents? She asked in a small voice, a blush still lingering on her cheeks. Because I wanted to give you a formal commitment. I held her hand, bringing it to my lips for a kiss. I want everyone to know that you, Su Yuning, are the only wife acknowledged by me, Shun Yin. Su Yuning's heart was filled with an immense sense of sweetness and happiness. She looked at me, the love in her eyes nearly overflowing. She leaned forward proactively and placed a feather-like kiss on the side of my face. Shen Yin, I love you. Meanwhile, at Tianjin capital, smash! An expensive blue and white porcelain vase was ruthlessly hurled to the ground by Xiao Fan, shattering into pieces. Useless. A bunch of useless trash. With a hideous expression, he roared at the few executives trembling in his office. What is the use of employing you? You can't even handle such a small matter. Now the entire internet is cursing me. The company's stock price has plummeted by a full 20%. Is this the answer you give me? The executives were silent as winter cicadas, not daring to breathe loudly. The reversal of public opinion this time was too fast and too fierce. It had completely exceeded their expectations. They simply couldn't figure out what methods Shen Yin had used to make those bloggers, who had already accepted payment, turn traitor within just 1 or 2 hours and aim their spears right back at them. President Xiao, what should we do now? The PR department can barely hold the line. A vice president braced himself and asked, "What to do?" Xiao Fan panted heavily, his eyes sinister. "What else can we do? Push all the responsibility onto the manager who handled the contact. Just say it was his personal behavior and has nothing to do with the company. Sacrificing the pawn to save the general." This was the only method he could think of right now. "Yes, I will handle it immediately. Get out. All of you get out." The executives felt as if they had been granted a great pardon and scrambled out of the room. Only Xiao Fan was left in the office. He slumped onto the sofa, his eyes filled with unwillingness and venom. He couldn't understand it. He was clearly the chosen one, destined for greatness. Why did he hit a wall every time he encountered Shen Yin? How did that piece of trash, who should have been trampled beneath his feet, become so difficult to deal with? Just then his phone rang. It was from Su Lingshuang. He took a deep breath, adjusted his emotions, and answered the call. "Lingshuang, Xiao Fan, you have disappointed me too much." From the other end of the line came Su Lingshuang's icy voice. "I thought you were different from Shen Yin. I didn't expect that the methods you use are even more despicable than his." "Lingshuang, listen to my explanation. This was an accident." "I don't want to hear explanations." Su Lingshuang interrupted him. "I only look at results. Because of your stupidity, the Su Corporation stock price has also been implicated. Let's suspend our cooperation for now. I need to reevaluate whether you are a trustworthy partner." After saying this, she hung up directly. Beep, beep, beep. Listening to the busy tone on the phone, Xiao Fan's face twisted completely. "Shen Yin, I won't rest until one of us is dead." He squeezed these words out through his gritted teeth. Chapter 12. For the next few days, Shangjing City was calm and tranquil. Xiao Fan was burnt out dealing with his mess, and Su Lingshuang chose to watch coldly from the sidelines. The suspension of our cooperation made Xiao Fan's situation even worse. As for me, I took Su Yuning and began a blissfully shameless life of cohabitation. We curled up on the sofa together watching old movies, arguing red-faced over the plot. We cooked together in the kitchen. She was in charge of looking beautiful, and I was in charge of the frying and cooking. In the end, she would always take advantage of my inattention to steal a piece of freshly cooked sweet and sour pork, only to yelp from the heat. I would also act like a childish brat, deliberately wiping flour on her nose to watch her turn into a cute little tabby cat, and then she would chase me all over the house. Yuan Bao and Tang Yuan, these two furry third wheels, also constantly circled around us. Interestingly, the aloof ragdoll cat, Tang Yuan, had at some point started to like using its tail to flirt with the silly golden retriever, Yuan Bao. The two little guys had committed themselves to each other, even before we did. That night, I came out of the shower wearing only a bath towel around my waist. Water droplets slid down my defined abs and V-line. Su Yuning was lying prone on the bed reading. Seeing me like this, her small face instantly flushed crimson. Her gaze darted away, not daring to look at me directly. I walked over with a wicked grin, leaned down, and blew gently in her ear. "Do I look good?" Her body stiffened, and the tips of her ears turned pink. "No, not good looking," she insisted stubbornly. "Oh." I raised an eyebrow and deliberately puffed out my chest, making the muscle lines even more defined. "Then what are you looking at?" I'm reading." She buried her face in the book, her voice muffled. I chuckled softly, deciding not to tease her anymore, and lifted the quilt to lie down beside her. As soon as I lay down, I felt a warm little hand tentatively poke my abs. Then, she touched them again. As if confirming something, I caught that mischievous little hand, flipped over, and pinned her beneath me. "You little rascal, didn't you say it wasn't good looking? Yet you dare to touch secretly?" Caught red-handed, Su Yuning was so ashamed she wished she could disappear. She simply closed her eyes, looking like she was ready to be taken. Watching her long eyelashes tremble slightly and her lovely red lips pout, my heart heated up. I couldn't hold back any longer and lower my head to kiss her. The kiss, starting gentle and lingering, gradually became scorching and deep. The temperature in the room climbed steadily. Just as I was about to proceed to the next step, Su Yuning suddenly pushed me. Wait. She panted, her cheeks flushed. I want to give you a special nickname. I was a bit surprised. From now on, I'll call you Mr. Yin, okay? She looked at me, her eyes twinkling with cunning light. The Yin from Shun Yin, the Mr. from Mr. Yin. It sounded inexplicably intimate and dependent. I like this title. Okay. I lowered my head and gave her lips a heavy peck. Then, is my little Yuning ready? She nodded shyly. I smiled. That night, the spring scenery was endless. Chapter 13. Since that night, my relationship with Su Yuning entered a whole new stage. Mr. Yin became her exclusive term of address for me. Whether at home or out in public, she loved calling me that sweetly. And I became increasingly addicted to her tenderness. That day, I received a call from Elder Zhou inviting me to a private treasure appraisal gathering. I originally had no interest in such occasions, but Elder Zhou specifically mentioned, I heard there are several pieces of Song Dynasty Ru Kiln porcelain this time. Don't you like these old things, kid? Come and take a look. I did indeed like them. In my previous life, I had no money and could only look at them through the glass in museums. Now having the chance to handle them personally, naturally, I couldn't miss it. I took Su Yuning and gladly went to the appointment. The appraisal was held at a private club in the Beijing suburbs. Security was extremely strict. Those who could enter were all prominent figures in the circle. As soon as Su Yuning and I appeared, we attracted quite a few gazes. Everyone was very curious about the story of this lying-flat noble son and the goddess girlfriend by his side. Elder Zhou saw us and came over with a hearty smile. Kid, you finally made it. Elder Zhou. I greeted him respectfully. This must be the Su girl, right? Not bad, not bad. Even more spirited than in the photos. Elder Zhou looked at Su Yuning and was full of praise. Su Yuning was a bit embarrassed by the compliments and greeted him politely. Just as we were exchanging pleasantries, a discordant voice suddenly came from his side. Yo, isn't this eldest young Master Shun? Why aren't you lying down at home? You ran out to join in this fun, too. I looked back. It was that lingering spirit, Xiao Fan, again. Beside him was Su Lingshuang. Today, Su Lingshuang looked a bit haggard, with faint dark circles under her eyes, but she still forcibly maintained that iceberg queen demeanor. Seeing me standing intimately with Su Yuning, her eyes turned a few degrees colder. I couldn't be bothered to deal with them and pulled Su Yuning to leave. Xiao Fan, however, wouldn't let it go and stepped forward to block us. Xinyan, don't be in such a rush. He said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, I heard you've done quite a bit of research on antiques. Coincidentally, there's a piece of Emperor Green jade raw stone to be cut on site today. Why don't we make a bet? Betting on stone? I raised an eyebrow. This was the long Outhian male protagonist's specialty. In the original book, Xiao Fan earned his first pot of gold through stone betting and conveniently slapped the faces of countless jewelers who looked down on him. By proposing this now, he clearly wanted to rub me against the ground in the field I was most skilled in to regain his dignity. No interest. I refused directly. Playing games with elementary schoolers is too beneath me. What? Scared? Xiao Fan sneered. That figures. A wastrel like you only knows how to eat, drink, and be merry wouldn't understand the first thing about betting on stones. Unlike me, I know a thing or two about jade. His pretentious posturing made me sick to my stomach. Xiao Fan, that's enough. Even Su Lingshuang, standing beside him, couldn't watch anymore and tugged at his sleeve. Xiao Fan shook off her hand, glaring at me aggressively. Xinyan, if you don't dare to bet today, then admit right here in front of everyone that you're a useless loser who doesn't know anything. The surrounding guests gathered around, eager to watch the drama unfold. I sighed. Why are there always idiots who insist on sticking their faces out, just begging me to slap them? All right, I looked at him and said unhurriedly, how do you want to do this? Xiao Fan's eyes lit up, thinking I had taken a bait. It's simple. That raw stone has a starting price of 10 million. We'll both bid, and the highest bidder wins the stone. Then, whoever's jade turns out to be more valuable wins the bet. The loser not only pays for the stone, but must also bow and apologize publicly, admitting that they have terrible judgment. Agreed. I nodded, then turned to Su Yuning and asked gently, Yuning, what do you think of that stone? Su Yuning was taken aback. She didn't know the first thing about betting on stones, so she just shook her head. I think. It's a pretty shade of green, she whispered. All right, I'll listen to you. I smiled. Since my wife says it looks good, then it's worth the price. I turned to the host and said, I'd bid 100 million. The entire crowd gasped. 100 million? Just for a stone that hadn't even been cut yet? Everyone looked at me like I was a madman. Xiao Fan doubled over with laughter. Shun Yin, you really are just a moron who knows how to throw money around. 100 million? Ha ha. Do you think this is cabbages we're buying? He cleared his throat and adopted the tone of an expert. This raw stone, while showing good potential, has too many fissures, and the transparency is questionable. In my opinion, it's worth 30 million at most. I bid 30 million and 10,000. He looked at me with a mocking expression, as if victory were already in his grasp. The host looked at me. Mr. Shun, Mr. Xiao has bid 30 million and 10,000. Do you wish to raise? No, I said, shaking my head. The smug look on Xiao Fan's face deepened. At least you know when to quit. In the end, Xiao Fan won the raw stone for 30 million and 10,000. Professional stone cutters immediately came forward to begin the process. Everyone crowded around, eager to see what kind of treasure would be revealed from the stone that Xiao Fan had professionally appraised. I was the only one who pulled Su Yuning away, walking toward a dusty, gray-looking stone in the corner that no one else had spared a glance. Boss, how much for this one? I asked. Oh, that piece of scrap? If you like it, Mr. Shun, take it for 500,000. Done. I'll take it. Everyone's attention was focused on Xiao Fan's imperial green, raw stone. Amidst the roar of the cutting machine, the outer skin of the stone was sliced away layer by layer. The first cut revealed no green. The second cut, still no green. Xiao Fan's expression began to turn sour. The onlookers began to whisper among themselves. What's going on? I thought it showed great promise. Could it be a bust? Su Lingshuang stood beside Xiao Fan, her brows furrowed and a hint of worry in her eyes. When the third cut was made, revealing a cross-section, the entire venue erupted in an uproar. It's a bust. A complete bust. It's full of cracks inside. There isn't a speck of green. My God, 30 million for a useless rock. Xiao Fan's face instantly went deathly pale. He stumbled back a step, unable to believe his own eyes. Impossible. This is impossible. He muttered to himself, looking like he had lost his mind. The professional eye he took such pride in had, in this moment, become a massive joke. Just then, a gasp of amazement came from the other side of the room. We have green. There's green showing. Heavens, it's glassy variety. Imperial green. It's such a huge piece. Not a single crack. Perfect. It's absolutely perfect. The crowd turned and surged toward me. The piece of scrap I'd bought for 500,000 was now revealing its stunning interior under the stonecutter's hands. A shade of green so rich it seemed solid, like a pool of emerald water, crystal clear and dazzlingly bright. The quality, the clarity, it was infinitely better than the mere skin of imperial green on Xiao Fan's stone. Elder Zhou was the first to rush over. He put on his reading glasses and examined the jade closely for a long time, his hands trembling with excitement. A masterpiece. This is absolutely a top-tier imperial green, the kind rarely seen in 100 years. He raised his head and looked at me, his eyes filled with shock. Kid, how did you figure it out? I smiled, pulled Su Yuning into my arms, and gently scraped the bridge of her nose. I didn't figure it out. It was my wife. She said this stone looked pleasing to the eye. The entire venue fell into a dead silence again. Everyone looked at Su Yuning and me as if we were monsters. Just because. It looked pleasing to the eye. Spending 500,000 to cut open a top-grade jade worth at least 500 million? What kind of heaven-defying luck was this? Su Yuning was dumbfounded too. She stared blankly at the dazzlingly green jade, then looked at me, feeling like she was dreaming. Somewhere in the crowd, someone whispered, "This isn't luck. This is clearly spoiling his wife." Yeah, just to make his wife happy, he casually bought a stone, and it turned out to be a priceless jade. Novels wouldn't dare write a plot like this. I'm jealous. I'm really jealous. What kind of godly husband is President Shun? Listening to the discussions around her, and then looking at Xiao Fan opposite her, whose face was ashen and spirit lost, Su Longxuang had mixed feelings. She suddenly remembered that a long time ago, Xunyan had brought her to a similar occasion. Back then, he had also pointed to a stone and asked her if she liked it. How had she answered at the time? She seemed to have coldly said, "Xunyan, can you be a little more mature? Is it meaningful to spend time on such boring things?" After that, he never took her there again. It turned out, it wasn't that he didn't understand. It was just that he saved all his gentleness and patience for the person who was worth it. And she, with her own hands, had pushed away the person who was once willing to give his all for her. A massive wave of regret drowned Su Longxuang like a tide. For the first time, her eyes reddened uncontrollably. She looked not far away at Su Yuning, who was being held lovingly in Shun Yan's arms, smiling like a child. Her eyes were filled with an envy she didn't even want to admit to herself. Chapter 15. After the treasure appraisal event, I became a near-legendary existence in the circle of Shangjing City. Wife-spoiling demon, human koi, mysterious big shot. All sorts of labels were stuck on me, but I didn't care about any of them. I continued living my godlike life of lying flat. Because of his failure in stone gambling and the previous negative news, Xiao Fan's credibility in the circle plummeted, and Tianjin capital fell into a serious crisis. Su Lingxuang completely drew a line with him. It is said that she tried to contact me, wanting to repair the relationship between our two families, even hinting at remarriage. But all her calls and messages were blocked by old Wang. I had almost forgotten what her name was. Some people, once missed, are missed for a lifetime. On this day, the sunlight was perfect. I lay on the manor's lawn, resting my head on Su Yuning's lap, enjoying a leisurely afternoon tea. Yuan Bao and Tang Yuan were chasing each other playfully nearby. Everything was as beautiful as a painting. "Mr. Yan," while peeling a grape for me, Su Yuning asked softly, "Do you plan to just lie flat like this forever?" "What else?" I opened my eyes lazily. "Life is short. Enjoy it while you can. Leave tiring things like making money to old Wang and the others." Su Yuning was amused by my twisted logic. You really are lazy to the bone." She scolded playfully, then popped a peeled grape into my mouth. "Very sweet. However," she thought for a moment and added, "I actually think you being like this is quite good. Because this way, you have more time to accompany me." She lowered her head and kissed my forehead, her eyes curving into a smile. I looked at her, and my heart stirred. Yes, I once thought that transmigrating and being reborn into this immense wealth was for me to enjoy the ultimate material luxury. Now I understand. Heaven gave me this chance not to sit on mountains of gold and silver, nor to slap faces and show off, but so that I could meet her, to have someone for whom I would willingly prepare meals, shield from the wind and rain, and watch the clouds roll and unfurl in this world. This, perhaps, is the highest state of lying flat. I pulled her neck down and kissed her lips. "Su Yuning, let's get married." "Okay." In the sunlight, her smile was more beautiful than any scenery I had ever seen. Life is about seeking a few taels of silver, and it just so happens those few taels can solve 1,000 sorrows. But when I possessed those 1,000 taels, I realized that what truly solves sorrow is nothing more than a bowl of hot soup handed to you by the person beside you. Dear, could you please rate this story in the comments section? Using a 10-point scale, pretty please. If you enjoy this genre, please click follow.